Folks, I've been thinking about this one for the last couple of days, and I felt the time was right. I just got through watching one of the people that I subscribe to, Mr. Superboy 223, and as always, he does give out or make a lot of really thought-provoking videos. And the same thought that I had prior to starting to watch this video came back to me, so I figured, what the hell, I might as well go on and do this. Donald Trump is a media addict, and you probably are aware of it. And I don't have a problem with that. My problem is the mainstream media feeds it, and they feed it like they feeding a dope fiend. The more dope you give a dope fiend, the more dope he needs. Now, you all know that this started when he made that announcement coming down that damn escalator and jumping up and down about the Mexicans. But it seemed like Donald Trump went from somebody that people were really not paying that much attention to, and to be honest, he realized that. That's why he hired all of those people at the announcement that he made that he was going to actually run for president. And you can go research that for yourself, but when they went through his finances, it was discovered that he paid an acting company big time money to provide all those actors that were down at the bottom of the escalator, and they were paid to clap and cheer. Okay, so that in itself was a show that he produced. It seemed like from that point forward, MSNBC, and they had a mad love affair for him for a while. Fox and CNN gave this guy all the airtime that he wanted, okay? Donald Trump was calling in damn near every day to MSNBC. He was calling in damn near every day to Fox, and he was calling in a little less to CNN. And it got to be a regular thing, to the point that I got to know exactly what time his ass was calling in, which on MSNBC here in Texas, he was calling in right around 7:30 in the morning. Now, apparently he had been up and watching possibly the first hour or so of each of the shows. I don't know if he had them recorded or whatever, but he knew basically to the minute what was being said on MSNBC, and he would come in there and make, you know, and get his 15, 20, 25 minutes. The shit started getting ridiculous, and I started like tuning it out. I figured I'd catch up on whatever the hell he said later on, either on MSNBC or Fox. Well, it got so bad that the people that he was running against started complaining. But that was their fault, especially for not calling into MSNBC, because MSNBC was always stating that anybody who wanted to, you know, come on their show or call in, they were welcome, and they would give them the time. But no, none of these guys wanted to do that. But Donald Trump basically knew how to sell himself to MSNBC, and he was, or is, I don't know if he still is, but he was friends with Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski. Now, he did get in really tight with, obviously, the morning people, but he was in solid with Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity. So if you do your research, you'll see that over the Republican primaries, this man got $2 billion with a B dollars of free TV time. Now you add that together with the Apprentice show that he was doing, and this guy basically had instant facial recognition. His facial recognition was equal to that of Hillary Clinton. Okay, fine. the primaries, what's done is done, no problem. Well, then after MSNBC fell out with him, he basically was primarily on Fox. And he was on Fox almost every night with Bill O'Reilly or Sean Hannity. So he was still getting mega freebie time. And especially when he was running against Hillary Clinton, Fox became the only network that he would appear on, even given, the brouhaha he had with Megyn Kelly. So bottom line is this. Donald Trump, as I stated, is a dope fiend for TV time, FaceTime on television. So now that he's president, I'm wondering why he's still getting all of this. Now, you probably are going to say, yeah, it's because he's, the president of the United States. Well, to me, I understand that he's the new president, but every time he rubs his ass in the White House, there are cameras there to record it. And I am absolutely not feeling it. Now, it's constantly advertised that he's signing executive orders, blah, 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 right? Well, that in itself is not necessarily, actually, it's not true that he's signing all of these executive orders. But it's being pushed out there that Donald Trump is signing executive orders. Now, let me tell you exactly what Donald Trump has done as far as executive orders are concerned. Donald Trump, at this point, as of, I guess, a couple of days ago, has signed a total of 7 executive orders, okay? And I'm going to leave a link so that you can see it for yourself. But he's also signed 11 presidential memoranda. They don't have the force of the formal executive orders. Executive orders are numbered, whereas presidential memoranda are not, and they don't have the same force of law. Now, let's go through the executive orders that he signed. The very first executive order that he signed basically didn't do anything, okay? It's called the Minimizing the Economic Burden of the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act pending repeal. Exactly what that did was it instructed all of the various government agencies that are under his control, obviously, to look for ways not to cooperate or to help people in regard to the Affordable Care Act. Net effect, 0. Other than if you went to Health and Human Services or something like that and had some questions, they may or may not help you with the information that you're looking for. So that basically was meaningless. So why an executive order had to be signed to do that? He could have instructed his chief of staff to pick up the phone, call the various agencies, and tell them exactly how he wanted things to go going forward. There was no need for an executive order on that. The second thing, executive order he signed was expediting environmental reviews and approvals for high priority infrastructure projects. Again, that was an executive order that could have been accomplished just by his chief of staff or support staff picking up the phone and calling the Army Corps of Engineers or the Department of Transportation or the Department of the Interior and telling them what he wanted. It had no actual effect other than to get people moving around and I guess bullying people into approving various paperwork items for things such as the Dakota Access Pipeline. The third executive order he signed, border security and immigration enforcement improvements. Why would you need an executive order for that? And I'm going to open that up so we can actually see what it is. Basically, the purpose was for to have border security jump on illegal aliens that are entering, and I said aliens because that's what's written. Actually, I'll read the whole thing. Purpose. Border security is critically important to the national security of the United States. Aliens who illegally enter the United States without inspection or admission present a significant threat to national security and public safety. Policy. It's a policy of the executive branch to secure the southern border, blah, 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 blah. That's has to do through the immediate construction of a physical wall on the southern border, monitored and supported by adequate personnel so as to prevent illegal immigration, drug and human trafficking, and acts of terrorism. Detain individuals, expedite determinations of apprehended individuals, remove promptly those individuals, cooperate fully with states and local enforcement. So net, he signed an executive order to do stuff that there was already authority to do. So that one, was bullshit. Number 4, enhancing public safety in the interior of the United States. Open that one up. That one also had to do with immigration. Basically, Section 2, ensure the faithful execution of immigration laws of the United States, including the INA, against all removable aliens, consistent with Article 2, Section 3 of the U.S. Constitution and Section 3351 of Title 5 United States Code. Make use of all available systems and resources to ensure the efficient and faithful execution of the immigration laws of the United States. So again, he signed an executive order that basically didn't change anything that wasn't already codified into law, and the government had the ability to do. All he had to do was order his people, and instead of ignoring a lot of stuff, just to enforce the laws. Now, number 5, actually, that is something that he had to do. Protection of nation from foreign terrorist entry into the United States. That's the ban that we just went through last Saturday and Sunday, okay? Number 6, ethic commitment by executive branch appointees. That one he probably had to do because that had to do with banning executive branch appointees from becoming, what's the word I'm looking for? Lobbyists. For 5 years after they leave their positions with the executive branch. Number 7, reducing regulation and controlling regulatory costs. That one, that one he had to do because what he wants to do is he wants to reduce regulation. So that's for every new regulation that's created throughout all of the agencies, you gotta remove 2. So that's a 2 gone, 1 in type deal. So yeah, he had to do that one. And finally, the presidential executive order on core principles of regulating the United States financial system. That one he had to do basically, which is giving relief, you can call it, to the various financial institutions from various things to do with Dodd-Frank, which threw a whole ton of regulations on those guys. So he's basically had to issue an executive order in order for the Treasury Department to relax requirements. So that one he had to do. So basically, he actually should have only issued about, let's call it 4 executive orders, but he's issued 8, and we've covered all 8. Now, a lot of the stuff that you see him doing are not executive orders. They're presidential memorandums. He's issued 11 so far, and we have covered every single one of them. And if we cover every single one of his executive orders and his presidential memorandum every day, this guy is going to be so boring. We're going to be so used to seeing this guy, but he's going to get such a high from all of this stuff that he's never going to come down. All right, here are the 11 presidential memoranda. Regulatory freeze pending review for the heads of executive departments and agencies. That is in relation to number 2, which is regarding, which is the hiring freeze. So the memorandum basically, the second memorandum basically was explaining the first one. Number 3, barring international non-governmental organizations from that perform or promote abortions from receiving U.S. government funding. Okay, now that one, obviously it was important, but again, it's a memorandum. Number 4, regarding withdrawal of the United States from the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Well, hell, it was never approved, so there was nothing to withdraw from because it was never signed off on. Okay, number 5, regarding construction of American pipelines. Okay, 5, 6, and 7 are all tied together. They're all memorandums. Okay, so number 5 was regarding overall American pipelines. 6 and 7 had to do specifically with telling the agencies to fast track approval on the Dakota Access Pipeline and the Keystone Pipeline. Number 8, reducing regulatory burdens for domestic manufacturing. Okay, that again is instructing the various agencies such as EPA, etc., to cut back on regulations for things like air, water, etc. Okay, number 9, rebuilding the U.S. Armed Forces. Well, see, that memorandum is bullshit because in order to do that, you got to get the money from Congress. So, yeah, he can put out a memorandum on what he would like done, which is apparently what's done here, but it has no effect as far as things actually being done. Number 10, plan to defeat the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. That's the memorandum that he put out to his military for them to come back to him within 30 days with a plan to defeat the Islamic ISIS, basically. Now, I thought this person already had a plan that could be executed quick, fast, and in a hurry, but apparently that was another bullshit line. And number 11, Organization of National Security Council and Homeland Security Council. Okay, that's where he put his buddy Steve Bannon on the National Security Council and kicked off the Director of National Intelligence and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. We did not have to see all of this on TV. The effects of his memorandum, except for a couple of them, were basically stuff that they could have held, a quick news conference on. Actually, they should have been announced in the daily press briefing by Sean Spicer and called it a day and saved us a bunch of time. We gotta stop covering this guy sitting in his office signing this bullshit, because it's just making him feel that much more important. We gotta wean this guy off of FaceTime on mainstream media. And until these guys start doing that, we're going to be subject to watching this guy every day somewhere around 12 to 1 o'clock sitting in his office smiling and talking about how big league these signings are, and they're like ultra important, because all the stuff that he just did, yes, it is important to some people, especially those people up in North Dakota as far as that Dakota Access Pipeline is concerned, but for the majority of America, it's not really all that important. And him signing off on signing memorandums on his wish list doesn't mean anything. He needs to get with Congress, especially on the rebuilding of the armed forces. They need to put together a budget, and then he needs to come back and obviously sign off on the budget, and then he can get his kudos for the increased amount for military spending, or once the generals come back, he could say, hey, the generals have provided me with a plan to defeat ISIS, and I am signing off on their plan. That kind of stuff. But for him to come out there every day with his wish list, in my mind, it's totally counterproductive. But people you got to pay attention. Everything that this guy is signing is not an executive order, and we don't need to be